Hello everybody, welcome along. Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Tis Thursday, tis the 10th of April 2025, and I have a review for you of some brand new products from the wonderful company One Man Army, which is a one-man band run in Belgium by a lovely chap called Sven. You'll see him at Telford. I think he was there. He was there last year because I saw him. I didn't get to speak to him, but I saw him. And the year before he was there, and I was managed to spend a long time speaking to him. Excuse me. So these are his latest three sets, and they're in 1/48 scale, and they are all designed for the Focke-Wulf FW190 A series. This one is generic for this German establishment, but these are basically these two here are designed around the FW190. So the first one here is reference 48 Gen 305. This set is currently available from Hannants, and it's under limited availability for some reason. I don't know why, but it's this set here is actually £24.30 from Hannants. And in this set we have 28 different stencils, 150 plus masks, which is enough for 2 kits. So what you're getting in here, rather than using decals, which are probably going to be missing on most kits, incorrect on others, you're getting here the chance to use masks to mask them and paint them on. So therefore, if you feel the stencil should be red, grey, white, black, whatever, you can paint it whatever colour you want rather than have to stick with the manufacturer's decal choice. And also when it comes to the weathering, you can weather them, you can sand them, you can do whatever you want. You can put one down and then put another one down over the top of it to look like it's been over painted. Absolutely brilliant things. They are really, really good. I've made many videos about using them and laying the paint down. The biggest secret of all is to make sure you don't flood the paint. Keep it dry and also go in from all the angles. So if this is your mask here, you would spray like this, like this, like this, and like this to make sure the paint gets in the corners. But also, as I say, you dust it on, you don't get it wet. And that mask there would actually give you that stencil there. Okay. So opening this up, you can see on here it's basically an A4 cardboard sheet, and we have all the different stencils there that are in this set. Okay, so they're for your FW190, and you've got all the different shapes and everything, and as I say, you can choose whatever colour you want. So this one, as I say, is 48 Gen 305. In here we have a generic manual, and this is basically giving you hints and tips. We'll cover more of that in a minute. So on here you can see it, because it's 48 scale, it's quite small. Usually these masks are in 32nd scale or whatever, but he's venturing into the smaller scales by request. And you can see here we have a sheet of stencil masks, which is absolutely gorgeous. They're laser cut. You can see some have gone right through. Okay, so you can see my finger in behind there. So you would literally just remove that one and place it on the model. I would recommend using transfer tape at all times. Transfer tape is just basically any old masking tape like your Tamiya tape or whatever. Cut a piece suitable size, put it over the top, and then when you remove the mask, you know everything's going to stay together. And then when you put it down on your model, you can peel the transfer tape off. I'm going to say this once only. Some people get confused with transfer tape. What you must remember is if I stick a piece of masking tape to here, the bond will be stronger, than the masking tape is to the backing on here. Okay, so the strength of the backing, the masking tape to the backing, is not strong at all because this is like a wax silicone paper, whatever. Okay, so the transfer tape will easily pull the mask off of that. Then when you stick it on your model, the bond of the mask to the model will be stronger than the bond of the masking tape to the mask. So when you peel the mask off, the transfer tape off, it will leave the mask behind. Okay, so that's basically why we use transfer tape. And the other thing is it helps to keep the shape of everything. Anything where there's like, you may have an O where there's a little mask in the middle that's separate. It will make sure that that central mask stays with the rest of the mask so that you get an O and not a great big white circle, or black circle, whatever colour you happen to be painting. And it helps to keep it in shape. So if you have a mask with like a sort of large T shape in it, the T is likely to go all wonky and start to look like a bit like a Y or something, whereas the matte transfer tape will keep it all square. So basically, yeah, you can see on there you've got all your masks, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Another little tip with these is before you start, get a scrap of masking tape on the bench. Before you start, lift the lower left hand corner of the mask, I could do this a new blade, and just stick a scrap of masking tape under there, push it down before you apply it on the model. It gives you two things. It always identifies the lower left hand corner, so if you're using masks which are overlaid, it's always good to know you've got them all in the same orientation as they came off the sheet, particularly if it's a square, you don't know which way it's gone. And also it helps you to lift the mask off without scratching the paint that's already on your model. There's a couple of different ways you can use these, and I'll cover that when I go through the other types. But basically with these types here, you need to spray your model first and then put these on last. When it comes to your crosses and your other bits and pieces, you can always paint that first, mask that, and then spray the camouflage over the top if you're worried about the build-up of the white paint or whatever. But I'll cover that in a second. So there you go, one final look. You can see all those on that sheet, and they are gorgeous. Always stunningly cut, always perfect. Never an issue with these. They are absolutely bloody brilliant. So that's that one. That's 48 Gen 305, and they are the generic stencil masks for your FW190s. Okay, so that's that one taken care of. The second one, 48 Gen 523, this is high definition airbrush mats. This is basically all your bits and pieces. You can see on here we have our crosses, we have our kill rates, serial numbers, that tail sign, and then we have our chevrons, arrows and tail spinners and stuff. Tail spinners, spinner masks and everything. So it's sort of generic, and it says on here generic set 70 masks suitable for 3 kits. So this one I believe is, yes, this one here is £19.99, currently available from Hannants in the UK if you are in the UK. Otherwise it's available from other places wherever you like to buy your modelling products. So you can see here we have basically a sheet full of crosses, and we have all different types of crosses. If you look on the back of here, you can see we have the different types. Okay, there. So you can see basically this sheet is full of them. So UP910, I'm guessing this is what they are actually called. I'm not sure, but FUS 800, UND 910. So you can see the different types of crosses, but they're all there. So you've got those with the little narrow thin outlines. You've got these which are just basically 4 pieces. You've got more there with the thin outlines. But you can see them on there if the camera wants to focus. It's always difficult to sort of do a review of masks because there's not really a lot to see. You know, it's a piece of cut paper. You can see the camera's picking up on it now, so you can see your different styles there. Okay, and then this one I've got one area covered up for obvious reasons, and then this one here you've got all your chevrons. This is your transfer tape. So this piece here, what you would do is lift this and stick it down over that one after you've weeded it. Okay, so that will be slightly smaller than that one, and that keeps all of that together. And this is what I'm talking about with transfer tape, because when you put this one down, you have your chevron and your 2 lines that go with it, and you want to keep them all correctly spaced and correct angles and everything. So you put this piece of transfer tape over the top of that. You'd weed out the large center pieces, okay, put your transfer tape down over the top, and then that will transfer the main sheet and the small little edges to the model. Then you would spray your white, whatever colour you want to use, and then you would weed out put the large pieces back in, and then weed out the little edges and spray the black in there. Failing that, if you wanted to, what you could do is spray this area on the model white, okay, then you could put this whole mask in place with the transfer tape, remove just the outer edge here, just this little thin bit, spray that black, and then put that bit back in and remove the outer and leave the whole thing and do your camouflage. There's more than one way to skin a cat in this game. So here you've got your different chevrons here. You can see there. And again, use transfer tape on all of these. We've got our kill markings here. Okay, so you'll probably find if you don't use transfer tape on these, you just peel them off and they should go down. But I would recommend weeding each one out and then use transfer tape to keep the shape. You can put them on a model and weed them after if you want, but it's a lot easier to weed it on the sheet. You've got the bench in front of you, you can have it all nice and flat. Get in there and pick them out. Make sure your lighting's good. Make sure you've got a nice sharp tool to pick them out. And then your chevrons here, I keep calling them chevrons. These spinner markings here, basically what you would do with them is spray if it's white, if it's a green spinner with a white snake on it, then spray the white first, put your mask on, and then spray the green. The same for all of those there. Alright, so there we are. So that's the high definition airbrush masks. So you've got the bulk of crows, your tail markings, your chevrons, and your spinners. Okay, so that's that set there. And then finally for this video we have 1/48 this group of people here, numbers, and they are 13.5mm height, and you have 4 different fonts. We have 90+ masks for 30+ kits. Now it says here 30+ kits. Now obviously if every kit's going to have 14, you're not going to get 30+ kits out of it, but if everyone's got different numbers, then obviously calculations will tell you that you can get a lot of models out of the one sheet. And this one again is available currently from Hannants, and it's £19.99. So basically in here again we have our generic sort of user sheet. We have our masks here, so we've got all our numbers, and you can see we've got the 4 different fonts. So we've got here we've got one type of font, and this is the completely enclosed numbers. If the camera will pick up on it, and it doesn't want to, I'll show you on the back of the sheet. We have solid numbers. You can see the 4 is complete, and then here the 4 is open, and then we have the solid numbers here but with the outline around them. So we have 4 different fonts, so you can achieve this type of font here or just the solid. You can see here on the 6 you've got the solid, just the number, and then here's got the edge around it. Okay, so, and you can see on here, if I pick this up, it's going to pick this up a lot easier because these got the surround around them. But you can see we've got the different fonts. Here you've got the 4 like that, and here you've got the 4 with the top nearly closed up. See the difference? We'll use the 4 as an example. Okay, so again with these, the way you're instructed to use them is to weed out the fat bit and then place it. You've got these little transfer tape sections here, which is a nice touch. Weed out the fat part of the 9 there, for instance, and leave that thin part attached. Put a piece of transfer tape over the top. What I suggest when it comes to rubbing these masks down, what I always suggest is don't rub them with your finger. Put the transfer tape over the top, put a piece of paper over the top, and then rub that. And that way you're not putting any force on the transfer tape. You're just pushing it down. That's my recommendation there. And then transfer it to the model. Remove your transfer tape. Spray the white, whatever you're going to cut it, whatever colour you're going to do it. Then put that piece back in, and then remove the little slender trim around the outside and spray your black, so you end up with that effect there. Okay, and it does work very well. I've done it on one of my first videos. You can see me do it. One of my first one-man army videos. If you search one-man army in my homepage sort of thing, you'll find all the videos, and I've done lots and lots of practical ones. Of course, the other way you can do it, should you want to, is spray the white on your fuselage first, okay, or on your wing or whatever. These would be fuselage. So spray the white on there first, and then place the whole mask onto the model. Remove the outer frame. Spray the black. Put the outer frame back in, which will be fun, okay, and then spray your camouflage over the top. That's not the way I'd recommend to do it, but it does prevent the build-up of the white. That's always the problem. And don't use white, and particularly don't use some of the Tamiya LP whites. They tend to be very high build. The MRP white primer is pretty good for this because it goes down very, very thin and very fine. But the problem is with a lot of the whites, they're quite grainy, as we all know, and they do build up. That's one of the biggest issues with them. So there we go. So that's the generic numbers set for that German establishment. And then here you can see the way with doing masks. So basically, we've got the masks here, bottom left-hand corner. You can see we've got the corners there marked in dark. So when we put this mask over the top, you can see the corners showing through. Whereas if you just put a yellow mask over yellow mask, it's not so easy. So what he's done is put the dark corners on there, and then when you put this one, you can see the corners, and you can see no black showing through. And then what he's done here is put tape around, black ink around the opening, and then when he puts this mask over the top, he can see that he's in the centre. Okay. One very important one here with your numbers and everything. It doesn't actually go into it here. A line with a guiding line. So basically on the side of your fuselage, lay down a strip of tape. If you kind of measure, so if you know that, let's just grab a rule. If you look at these numbers and you can look at this mask and you can see that that is, what's that? That's 17 mil high. Okay, so 8.5 millimeters is going to be your centre line. So once you know where your centre line is going to be, lay a layer of tape along your fuselage, follow it 8.5 mil below the panel line, whatever it is going to be, and then you can, when you put these down, you can butt them up against that tape, and you know they're all going to be straight, equally spaced and in line. They're designed so that you can butt them up together like this, and they will give you the equal spacing. Okay, or if you don't want to do that, you can just trim the sides down and move them closer together, whatever. So there we go. Again, I use these on my 1/48 Spitfire build. Obviously not these, I use the RAF ones, and you can go and see how I've done it on there should you want to. So there we are, guys. So that's the 3 latest new sets from Sven over at One Man Army. So there's that one there, which is Gen 600. There's this one here, which is Gen 523, and there's this one here, which is Gen 305. Okay, so as I say, available from Hannants. If you can't find them at Hannants, or you're not sort of in Great Britain, if you go over to onemanarmy.be and you click up on the top right hand corner, that will take you sort of into the site, and you can find a list of suppliers worldwide on there. So find your local one and go to them. You also see people selling them on eBay and stuff as well. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.